My name is Lynette Francis. I'm a journalist, I'm a broadcaster, and what I do on the sidelines, I coach people, I coach companies and prospective idols, possibly, but anybody who really wants to live a better life, how to learn the skills, not only for media, but also in conversation. A lot of people don't know how to guide or shape their message, who they are, and how they want to bring that across, whether it is an interview, whether it is a competition like Idols. And I'm here, and I was here to teach them, to help them frame their message, and to help them to relate their message, and how to take charge of that message, no matter who they speak to. So let's just all quickly stand up. Put down whatever you have in your hand, and loud applause. Let's clap. Okay, so whilst you're standing, congratulations that you've made it thus far. Yes. So since you've been in Idols, has there been a situation where there's been an interview that it was quite difficult to handle? Yeah. Yes? Was there? Yes. Okay, so what was it, and how did you feel about it?
It was, I didn't understand the language quite well, and the presenter spoke so much that I didn't know when to chip in, so I didn't understand my place in that interview.
Anybody else?
I sometimes have difficulty with answering questions. Sometimes I understand the question. However, when answering it, I tend to mumble a lot because I'm nervous maybe, or I want to use big words, or stuff like that. So yeah, that's a challenge.
Okay. Actually, during the rest of the presentation, we talk about that, the ums and the mumblings and swallowing words. So we're going to later on actually do one-on-one interviews, and I have to warn you, it's not easy. Some of it is easy, but I've set you up. So after the explanations, I want to see how you deal with it. So what makes a good interview? Let's get this on. You have to draft a strong message, and the message touches on who you are. What do you want to convey in an interview? There are various interviews, and you're going to be overwhelmed by everybody wanting to talk to you. So the more important thing is draft 3 messages, and in your workbooks you would see there's space. So you don't think about it now, but think about, what do people want to know? What do I want people to know about me? So decide on the 3 main messages during the interview, not just during the interview, before you go to the interview, when you get the interview request. What are you going to push? It's the same way when you decide on what you're going to sing. So in the same manner that you do a selection of your songs, it's exactly the same approach when you decide and approach an interview, no matter who the interviewer is. I think the key points for me in this Capitec Live Better talks that is applicable to anybody is that everybody has a story to tell. We all frame our stories differently, depending on who our audience is, depending on who our market is, and we need to know what is it that we want the world to know about us. Preempt questions, formulate response, you ask yourselves, and no matter who the interviewer is, you're going to ask the what, the where, the when, the who, the why, and the how. And formulate answers. What could they possibly ask me? What am I going to answer? Have you thought about, if you get eliminated next week, what's going to be your response? Ish. Because that's the reality. For me, whenever you have a conversation, it doesn't matter with whom. What is the message? Who is it aimed at? Take charge of it. It's a skill, for example, if an interviewer detracts you, how do you bring it back? Were you surprised that you were eliminated? Throughout this competition, there was reference that your pitch is wrong. You sing out of key. What are you going to answer?
I've been working really hard on my pitching, and what I've learned from the competition is that I need to push myself a little harder, and hopefully in my career I can correct my wrongs.
Perfect. Exactly. That is acknowledging something, but saying how I've learned and how I've grown. She took control of the answer because it started off negative. It started off focusing on what is a perceived weakness. But what she said, it's no. It's something that I know, it's a learning curve, right? I'm going to grow from this. And it's important to use positive words. You have to be confident. If you don't believe it, you cannot sell it. But not selling in the hard sense that this is a debate and you're a politician. Soft skills to win people over. The technique of making friends, fans, clients. So that's important. Conversation. People don't know how to converse. They think interviews is about, this is my question, this is the answer. They don't listen, so they don't respond appropriately. So let's talk about language, because somebody had a question about language. If you struggle with the language, how? Speak from your heart. If that is what you can express yourself first, you do that first. Because it's going to make you stronger, it's going to make you feel more confident. Your energy and the use of language emphasizes your message. So let me just give you an example of energy. Listen to this. Listen to the way I sound. Yeah, no. I'm so exhausted. Yeah, you like my outfit? Yes, no, I'm exhausted, but how great was it? Did you like my outfit? Do you see the energy is completely different? Yes. It's using your energy. And this is the thing you have to keep in mind. The wonderful thing that Capitec did today was to allow people, no matter what their background, no matter what their career, to learn something new. So maybe next time we'll think about how we say it, what we say, to whom do we say it, and why and where do we say it. Because there is no such thing as no comment or yes, no answer or off the record. There is no off the record. Don't say it if you don't want to be quoted. Practice makes perfect. Good interviews are give and take, ebb and flow. You build confidence through practice. I said you have to practice, you have to prepare a response. You've got to know who the journalist is. You've got to know their style. You've got to know who the publication is. Who's their audience. Never ever say no comment. Never. Never. I don't care how you feel, just give an answer, even if it's the wrong answer. But don't say no comment.
On the point of, taking your time to understand before you respond, what's the, maximum amount of time we can take to respond without having that dead energy in between?
Girl, have you seen these beauty queens? Yeah, no. No matter what the question is, I want to save the world. They will bring it back to the prepared answer. You start with what they ended off with. In interviews, particularly if you want to buy yourself time, two ways. Besides the I hear you, is that's a good question. That's a good question. Even though you know it's not a good question, that's a good question. And another trick with that is smiling. Smiling. That's a good question. And then, because it's such a good question, you're taking the time to appreciate this question. Remember, they will tell you, be quick, quick, quick. You control that. If you are a kind of person who take your time, take your time. This is what's going to happen now. I'm the interviewer, and you're my guest. We're going to see how quickly you can implement everything. We're not here to critique you. We're here to build you up. Use my expertise. Use your fellow contestants, what they've taken in thus far. The importance of one-on-one interviews, particularly for the top 16 idols, is that the brain does not differentiate between what is real and what is fake. The more you prepare, and you can prepare for any interview that way, is to record yourself either on your phone or with a recorder, to look in a mirror, to see your mannerisms. How do you project? How do you explain yourself? And particularly to listen to what you say. You know, we often in conversations, we you know, and they needed to learn and become aware of the little pitfalls, the little things that can destroy a great interview. Paxton, thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think about condoms in schools?
That's a good question. I think it is needed because society these days, children are having children, and I think it's very important to have these contraceptives so that they can use it, not to imply that they should be, having sexual intercourse, but so that they can be safe if they do make that decision to have sexual intercourse.
Which of the women here is a favorite with fans to win, and why?
Would you please simplify that for me?
Your contestants, there's more women than men.
True.
Who's the most likely to win, other than you, of course? Is that tough enough for you, Tebe? Has it been intimidating being the only white girl on the show?
No, it hasn't been intimidating at all. I haven't even noticed the difference in color, but I've actually learned a lot about other cultures and other backgrounds. So I think it's been really beneficial for me to come into this environment.
So you're going to be singing Afrikaans music?
I'm not Afrikaans, but I'm open to singing any languages. I'd love to sing some Zulu music, some Afrikaans music, especially throughout the competition.
Thanks, Gabby.
Thank you.
At some point, you're going to go home. What will you take from this experience?
Thank you for having me. Such a small cut.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I'm very focused. It's one of those things that one has to expect. You know, there's no really another way to say it. You know, it can happen this way, it can happen the other way.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Anybody really who wants to win friends, they need to know, how do you sell yourself without putting the other person down? How do you sell yourself without, as Tebi said, being a sellout? And the one-on-ones is for them to become aware of their posture, of their voice control, of their messaging, and how they connect with an audience. Because it's never an audience there, it's always one person. You connect with one person, and if that message is true and authentic, it will reach other people.
Just to close, I think what you've learned today, which is quite key, is message is important. Is you need to have your story. What's your story? Or as I say in the township, konje udume ngani? Like, what is your thing? You know, that's the most important thing that I hope that you got out of today is who are you? What makes you distinctive? The second thing is that this is about staying in your lane. You need to pick a fight and says, this is the battle I'm willing to stand for. So you need to know what is it that makes you distinctive and how are you going to tell that story. You cannot have off moments and on moments. People are going to record you, they're going to tape you, they're going to take pictures of you. So if you're real, you don't have to worry. But you must always be on guard. That's it for today. Yeah? Let's take a nice group picture. 1, 2, 3.